clear what I said. It's 30,000 a megawatt. It's a 2.5 megawatt proposal, so here's the check, $75,000.
Over the ride.
For the ride of 1.6
Right,
acres.
so all I'm saying is they did that calculation and then they got a one-time check.
Well,
Mr. President, if I might, we also have an agreement with a developer in town today at $30,000 per
We
megawatt.
just approved it a month ago.
Yes.
yeah.
Smaller project.
Well, smaller returns on revenue for them too. I mean, everything is
Yep,
relevant.
The larger the project, the larger the risk.
That's when the larger the rewards.
So we need to,
But I would point out, it's much easier to be all cash on a small project, because even at 30,000 a megawatt for a 1 or 2 megawatt project isn't a lot of money. The amount, if this was a cash at 30,000 a megawatt, you're looking at almost 1.2 million in cash, sitting in effectively a very low interest money market account for 25 years. It would be
It's
phenomenal burden.
$153,000.
It would be a huge amount, a phenomenal burden for a developer.
Well, that's what they suggested. They suggested some mix of cash and bond.
I'm not comfortable with the bond. Even Mr. Brasini said he was not a bond expert this evening, and it's a new bond that's available. I didn't get enough information from statements.
yeah, and I didn't see the email. I mean, I saw it.
Sure, and I apologize.
I came in late, yeah.
But I know the council has concerns about getting information too close to a meeting, but basically, the garden variety bonds people think of on construction project are performance bonds, which says if the school, hotel, house, whatever it is not built, then the surety will step in and complete it, and that's the business that they're in. They're all insurance companies. Again, they're not investment bonds. These are insurance companies essentially insuring completion of the project in the form of a surety bond. The particular bond that I sent to the solicitor and to the town administrator is a solar project decommissioning bond that makes specific reference to essentially the approval that the planning board will make of what the decommissioning obligation is, and the surety will step in to do it. So they're unique to this particular industry. And as the industry develops, the surety bond industry is trying to develop with it. And obviously the form of bond would be approved by the town.
I'm going to agree with Councilman Zawinski. I don't trust bonds. And, you know, bonds, yeah, they operate, and then you get a black swan type situation where you just have to hope that the bond is reinsured to cover any losses that may have mitigated. If the bond if something happens to the bond company, there's no guarantee that you're going to get your money 30 years from now.
So I, of course, it's the council's prerogative, but I would suggest looking at the totality of putting up a significant cash escrow, plus a bond in a form approved by the town, plus the fact that it's really not the town's obligation, as was mentioned, and to the extent that there was discussion, and I completely appreciate the spirit of it, that the town did create the overlay district, but at one point or another, the town created every zoning district in town to build everything. I defer to the solicitor on the town's legal obligation.
We took this property out of forest, field, farmland, we turned it into a manufacturing zone. That's totally different. I believe that that's a stretch to say. This was done to accomplish a couple of things. One, to acquire open space, to have cash flows to improvements, to make improvements to recreation and senior citizen opportunities. I'll leave it at that. So, no, I have to disagree with you on that. I don't understand this hybrid bond thing that you talked about. I guess it just made its way down. We got printed copy tonight. I haven't had time to look at it.
Yeah, I wouldn't say, Mr. Vice President, it's a hybrid bond. It's simply a bond. It is a type of performance bond that is specially designed for solar facility decommissioning. The developer is proposing $200,000 in cash with a bond making up the difference of the 30,000 a megawatt, so bond of whatever that would be, a little under $1 million.
Who's the bonding company? Is it surety? Because I don't even know who the bonding company is.
Sure, it would be to be determined at that time, but they're all sureties. It would be a recognized bonding company appropriately federated to be approved by the town.
I just have to voice this. I can recall sitting in many a meeting regarding an Elizabeth Avenue development where it was discussed to pull the bond, and we never did because of the intricacies and the difficulty of pulling the bond and the legal expenses involved in it. So I'm not a big supporter of performance bonds and surety bonds.
If I could point out, only because presume eventually at some point when the town makes its decision on this, it'll make its way back to Mr. Igliosi. There is one error that I made that I just wanted to point out. In section 3.1, The last few lines talk about essentially what the decommissioning obligation is going to be, covering up pit holes, trenches, or other borings made by the project owner, replacing topsoil in connection with siting, and reseeding with native grass. The developer would propose, and this is really, I guess, me proposing because it was my mistake, to end with a period after grass. They'll restore the property substantial to pre-condition. It's forested property that really couldn't be done. So the normal standard is filling in, reseeding with native grass.
Glad you brought it up. So if you're going to replace topsoil, and Tom, you can help me, the land development subdivision regulations are still required 4 to 6 inches of topsoil for reclamation if something's disturbed. I believe it was 4 to 6 inches of topsoil. So if we're going to get into writing this, we should be writing this stuff out. It's nothing for you, you have access to it.
You could just say in accordance with subdivision regulations, then.
I'm sorry?
You could say in accordance with subdivision regulations. Because I'm just not sure off the top of my head.
Okay, no, that's fine. But just to make sure that it's included, that it's in compliance.
The developer would have no objection to it.
Okay, thanks. So where are we?
To be honest with you, I'm okay with the cash amount in the bond. Maybe a little more cash, a little less bond, but I think it's a good mix. I'm all right with it. I'm personally all right with it. You can sit there and question the volatility of the bond market and everything. You can question the volatility of the banking market today. Put money in the bank, it could disappear. You don't know where anything's going anymore. The reality is that we're creating, or the developer's going to create a business that's going to be operating, and the business stays on that land. Even if he moves away, he could sell that to somebody else, but this agreement stays on that land and his project. So GDIM 1 LLC may change to a different name, but this agreement stays on that land and that project, correct?
Make sure of that. I think we have to make sure that the agreement runs with the land, Mr. Mazzini. We have to make sure the agreement runs with the land.
Just anticipating Mr. Mancini leaping up, these are going to be part of the approval process, so they would run with it.
It stays with it, so the issue of the developer leaving isn't really an issue. All of this agreement stays in force with the land and the project that's there.
Well, it's on page 3.3. The town will not be responsible for any costs and expenses to remove all above ground improvements in personal property made or placed on the leased land by project owner.
Not if we have money. At that point, so the town will not be responsible for any costs, no, because we'll have money in the town. We'll just be holding the money and building interest. We're not going to be responsible for taking taxpayer dollars to remediate this problem. It's going to be there.
Yeah, he's right. In 3.2, it speaks to that. It's talking about the removal escrow account will be held pursuant to an escrow agreement in which the town and project owner will be the parties, with the town serving as an escrow agent. Essentially, we need to make sure that, well, we're not personally putting up the funds, we have to make sure we have the funds available in order to remove it, so that at the time, we're not saying, well, now we have this multi-million-dollar thing we can't remove because we didn't budget for it.
The only way we access that escrow account is if they don't do their job and they default. That's the only time you access the escrow account. Otherwise, they decommission it and you say, here's your money back. That's what happens with the escrow account. It's different than if you buy real estate and put money in escrow. If it's not your fault that the sale goes through, you get that money back. And so what you're doing is you're putting your money in there as a stakeholder, so to speak, to hold the place. That's why I'm saying, I think, because these solar arrays are in its infancy, that you're going to see things like this bond now. It's really new. It's going to be out there. It's going to be 20 years, 25 years, because it's something that everyone's looking at now. Because the one-year bond renewal thing is a problem. Yep, we all agree to that. That's a problem. You can buy a 25-year bond that says, hey, at the end of the day, we're going to cover decommissioning if it's not done, and we have money sitting aside on top of that in case. maybe it only covers our legal action going forward to make sure that it's done. That's why I say, I think the right combination of the two, I'm agreeing with that.
I would just add to the president's point, it's really no different than the escrow arrangement you'd have for the concession and the bathrooms, other than the length of time would be longer. And in that case, I think you need a third-party escrow agent. In this case, the $200,000 would be paid directly to the town to hold however it sees fit for that purpose.
Well, it's different when we speak amounts though, Mr. Procedure, right? There's a big difference when we speak amount, we put in an escrow account. So if you're talking 30,000, what other communities have been doing, 30,000, what this town approved for another development in town was $30,000 a megawatt. There's a big difference in the amount to put.
Yeah.
The formula, excuse me, go ahead, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, excuse me, but my only point I was making is the concept of the escrow. It sits in escrow to assure the performance by the developer or whoever owns the project at that time, if it isn't this developer, and then if they perform, it comes back up. That was my only point. I apologize if I confused.
To get to your point, if the money is reflective of the true cost to decommission, and you're talking 1.3 million, 1 point whatever $1 million, there's a lot more skin in the game there, so that down the line you're going to want to follow through and decommission. It's a lot easier to lose $100,000 to $200,000 than it is to lose $1 million. Nevertheless, time, value, and money, and all that stuff. So I get we can go on and on about the future, but I think we have to keep the future in mind. And I still think I am not okay with the bond. I think they're too risky. This is brand new. We don't even know what the rating is. We don't know who the agency is. Unless we got this today, we probably shouldn't even be talking about this piece of paper. But I think we need to vet this more before we can sign off on this. And that's just where I stand. But I get it. It's down the line, but we need to keep that. We need to plan for the future and not what seems to be the best deal.
I agree, Councilor. I think we all expected the decommissioning bond with the amount of money to be the sticking point. I mean, this is no surprise.
I don't think the dollar amount is really a sticking point. You're agreeing that they need 1.2 million dollars. It's just how do we cover ourselves for that 1.2 million dollars? Cash bond, or they're all cash. I think if we go all cash, to be honest with you, it's going to kill the project.
We don't know that. You know, I don't know. Do we know how much money they're going to make? We don't know that. I don't know what their revenue flow is going to be. I have no idea. We've taken their word on it, but I just don't know.
But you're putting that up front before they have cash flow.
I can't address one thing related to that is when you're financing a project, you're financing construction of the project. I can't imagine any lender anywhere financing cash in escrow. That just comes straight out of the project.
I can tell you 20 years from now, I won't be here. 10 years plus an additional 10 years. Looking forward to the future. Whatever decision I make is going to safeguard the residents of this town. Because the company, the project development company may not be here. The landowner may walk, who knows, they may walk away. So I'm looking at it for whomever is here in 20 years.
Now, again, one of the things the council mentioned is, the town planner mentioned about the idea of peer review. Now, peer review, we were talking about trying to determine an amount. If the council is not sticking on the amount, I don't know if it makes any sense to ask the developer, maybe we have someone from the insurance company tell us a little bit about the bonding process. Again, because it doesn't seem like the number's the sticking point, so I can't see, unless the council wants, asking the developer to pay for peer review to determine the amount, unless the council still thinks that needs to be done by Saturday. I understand it's an engineering decision, right?
Well,
So if we move past that, is the bond and the significance
I
of
was
the
trying to
bond?
determine the decommissioning value, and our ordinance says
Well, then
that
maybe
it would
you
be
need
an
that too.
independent firm, selected by the town,
So maybe
the
you need-
developer would pay, so. Right, we never landed on if that was something we were gonna go, and now we're on a case-by-case basis. This is a pretty big case, so I hope that we would at least come to some clarity.
you're jumping ahead though.
I'm sorry.
You're jumping ahead to the new ordinance.
Well,
Peer review is in
no,
the new ordinance.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Under our existing ordinance, it says that an independent third party is hired.
That's peer review.
Well,
That's peer review.
an independent third party is hired
That's right.
to come up with a decommissioning number irregardless of salvage value.
So maybe
So
that's.
you don't count salvage value. And so the roll of the dice on that is, that engineer can come back and we can find out that in fact, it's far less, which doesn't hurt us, I guess. There's no one's gonna know what's gonna happen in 20 years. They can guess. You have to figure out what would it cost you to decommission that site today. That's what you really have to find out what the number is. That's what our ordinance says. What is the price to decommission it today? I
And they
can't tell you
amplify.
how fast your money's gonna grow, what you got it sitting in an account. I can't tell you what the cost is gonna be to recycle that stuff. Nobody knows those issues. Nobody. And no one can even give you a guess at it. We could get back to 20% inflation and nothing's gonna work. We don't know that.
I guess my,
What we do have, we have developers proposal or offering to us that, as you say, Mr. President, excluding the value of salvage of $11,542 per megawatt. That's today's cost. Numbers that don't at least consider that, in my mind, just unresponsible. That's simply pulling the panels and putting them on a truck. Where they're going from there, we don't know yet. So, I mean, from the developer's own words, it's $11,500 a megawatt as a floor.
That's so round numbers to $500,000 for decommissioning that site.
Today, today,
Correct.
they haven't left the site.
Correct. Well, they take it down.
Right, but we don't know where
We
they're
don't know
going.
where they're going, and that's not really our concern.
But in
Well,
basic
it is,
financing,
hopefully
you
it
discount.
becomes part of the ultimate cost, that they gotta go somewhere. And, I'm not saying that I have any great fears about, boogeyman and panels. I'm just saying that looking at it simply from the numbers, that, okay, here's what we have, $11,542, and from this summary, I look at it, they're stacked on, well, maybe they're on a truck, maybe they're on the ground, but they haven't left the site, because we don't know where they're going. There's assumptions here that with salvage, you get money back.
But we don't take that into consideration.
Right,
And I'm
so-
okay with that.
I mean, numbers below that, in my mind, I can't understand how we could rationalize.
I'm not looking below the number. I'm okay with the 1.2.
and because my point was, there's two issues driving this decision. What is the number? And do you want to consider what percentage of the insurance bond? So you need an expert to help you be satisfied with the number. You have a mechanism for that. And alternatively, I just said maybe the developer would be willing to bring in their surety to explain and show us exactly how secure this is, or describe it. I don't know if that's even
So
possible.
if I may through the chair, I just want to refocus the council.
If you just hold on 1 minute,
Sure.
we just need to take care of something.
Mr. President, make a motion to continue the meeting I'm going to just go to 10:30. If we break before then, that's fine. Making a motion to continue until 10:30.
Motion by Mrs. Zelinski to extend the meeting to 10:30. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Bonioli. Roll call.
Mrs. Martinoli?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mr. Zelinski?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to take an opportunity to refocus the council to the ordinance, to the actual provision in the ordinance that created this overlay district. This issue was significantly discussed at the time that the ordinance was approved, and it varies from what your existing section 5.78 provides. And in this ordinance, which created the overlay district, in section G, it states that for purposes of the SPOD, which was defined as a solar photovoltaic overlay district, 5.7.8 decommissioning shall require approval of the town council as part of the preliminary plan application to the planning board. Surety shall be in the form of either a combination of bond, cash, or property liens to enforce adequate financial protection exists to support dismantling of an abandoned system. So there's a couple of different thoughts there. One is the combination of surety was discussed, which would be either in the form of property liens, which could be a fine, or in the form of cash, and then ultimately the bond. But what's more important in that language is that the focus was on an abandoned system. So we're not saying that this system is, what you're proposing to do is that in the event that the system is abandoned at the end of the life, the responsibility, as Mr. Brasini has indicated, falls on the property, it falls on the tenant, which would be Green Development, whoever that entity is. They would be the primary person responsible. If we fail and the system continues to be abandoned, it's only then does the town come in and exercise its rights under the ordinance. And the proposal of a combination, I think, is more than, is what was thought of. So it's there. The determination of the value, the ordinance doesn't speak about a peer review, and I will speak to the developer as to whether or not he would agree to a peer review, but I think we've agreed to a number. I think it's the mechanism to get to the adequate financial protection as defined in the ordinance is what you're really grappling with. And I think the developer here is proposing to give you some cash and to give you a bond. You can even add some type of property. Or you have that right regardless. The town has a right regardless of exercising its police powers. You're only adding to your police powers. We're not detracting from them.
And I would just add the form of bond and the creditworthiness of the surety to be approved by the town council, of course.
Just as a reminder, we did discuss the decommissioning cost. We were going to have it conducted by an independent firm, of course, licensed professional engineer with solar development experience, and cost of the estimate would be responsibility of the developer. We did discuss that.
And that is an outline in 5 point. That is an outline in 5.7.
Yep.